push. Go, Rachel. Push. 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 Okay, one more deep breath. Go ahead. Push. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. He's huge.
Oh, Mr. Man. So that was a little easier, yes. Okay, you can do that now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dominic Nicu. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. Hopefully it wasn't too gruesome for you.
We just want to give a big thanks to all the doctors and nurses that were there at Dominic's birth who helped out. And a big thanks to my parents for also being there, and Tyler, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks for being there.
I got to cut the umbilical cord. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was super special.
So you went into the hospital, what, on...
Well, on Saturday I was having some contractions, And so I was talking to my mom about it, and she said they could be Braxton Hicks, but I had Braxton Hicks before, and these just felt more intense. And so I had my 36-week checkup on Monday. So I went in on Monday and I told the doctor that I had been having contractions, and he told me they were most likely Braxton Hicks, but that Dominic's head was super low and that I most likely wasn't gonna go full term, but I was maybe gonna deliver him at 38 weeks, which was 2 weeks later.
So in the middle of the night, Rachel's mom comes running into our room and, Dad! And I just was like, what's going on? Take your wife to the hospital! I was like, oh man, okay. It was really happening, it was really going on. Rachel's...
I had been up since 2 o'clock contracting, and
she didn't want to, wake me up
if it wasn't
real, if it was fake.
If it was just false labor, I didn't want to wake him up. I just wanted to kind of push through it by myself.
That's how tough
and
you
let
are.
him sleep. Thanks, babe.
So, anyways, we rushed to the hospital, and then what?
5 a.m. and they checked me into
like a pre-labor and delivery room.
I don't remember what it's called. But they hooked me up to monitors and they were watching my contractions, and then a doctor came in and checked me. I was dilated to a 4, and they said if I hadn't progressed in an hour that they were going to send me home. So for about an hour, Tyler and I walked around the hospital very slowly while I was still having contractions. And at about 6 o'clock they came back in to check me, and I was dilated to a 5, so they did admit me. And they called my doctor, and he came at about 10, and by that time I was to a 5. And he talked about sending me home because I hadn't progressed from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
You were at a 7, weren't you, when the doctor came?
No.
Oh, okay.
So after he left, I told the nurse that I wanted to take a bath because just to get that pressure off of my back. And so she went and what?
I just think it's funny, how much they didn't really believe you.
Yeah.
And then finally you're in the bath and
my water broke.
Your water broke.
And so I told Tyler, I said, what was that?
And then we went and grabbed the nurse, and she's like, oh, she probably didn't break. It probably was just a little bit of a discharge. And so she comes in, and
I got out.
Rachel gets out of the bathtub.
I got out, and it just went.
And it goes all over the floor. Yep.
She goes, okay, that is your water.
Your water broke. Because they were still kind of debating whether or not to send her home or not.
Because I was so early, they also didn't want to
They didn't want
it to happen.
Yeah. And so even though she was dilated to a 5, they were still talking about sending her home, and it's just like, really?
Yeah. So after my water broke, the doctor came back in and checked me, and I was to a 7 at this point. And around then, it had hurt so bad that I told them I wanted an epidural. I was not going to do this natural, and mostly because the baby was face up.
Yeah. And
they said that that Dominic's head would be pushing against my spine the whole time, so it was going to be definitely harder. So I did tell them I wanted an epidural, and by the time they got it to me, I was dilated to a 9, and my contractions had stopped. So for about, I want to say 4 hours, I was dilated to a 9.5.
4.5.
With
almost 5.
Yeah, with no contractions. So they gave me Pitocin to start up my contractions again, and it didn't work. But they could see the head, so my doctor was like, we just need to get this baby out. So at about 4:45, I started pushing, and by 5:19, he was out.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit scary because as he was coming out, the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. So they had told me to stop pushing while they unwrapped it.
If you guys rewind the video, you'll see them pause when his head pops out and unwrap the cord. And if you look closely, you'll see that Dominic's feet
His feet are on his chest.
Are up on his chest. And they don't call that breech, but they call it like reversed breech.
Yeah.
And it's a miracle that Rachel didn't tear. She didn't tear at all. And Dominic's legs, for the longest time, he had him up on his chest, and when you bring him down off his chest, he would fuss and get all cranky.
You just put him right back up.
And then put him right back up to to his chin. You know, it was the darndest thing. We were worried about it for a little bit, but he as soon as you started putting diapers on him and things like that, they just went back down, and he's completely normal now.
After they got him out, they let me hold him for a little bit, and then they took him over and they weighed him and measured him, and he was 5 pounds 13 ounces and 19 inches long. And after that, they wrapped him back up. They let me see him again, but I was still bleeding because I bled 4 times as much as a normal woman bleeds after giving birth, and they couldn't figure out why. So they didn't let me hold him again, but they let Tyler, and they let...
You're gonna cry? Why are you gonna cry? Why? Are you sad? Okay. What's wrong? Yes, this was the hard part. Dominic was admitted into the N.I.C.U unit, and
after they had wrapped him up and let Tyler hold him and that my parents hold him, his blood sugar was low, so they tried to give him some formula, and he wouldn't take it, so they had to admit him into the into the N.I.C.U so that they could feed him with a feeding tube.
You know, but they didn't even really let Rachel try and breastfeed Dominic, and that was kind of tough because Rachel was really looking forward to that. So they kind of just rushed him right into the N.I.C.U right after labor, and there he spent, you know, how long was he in there for?
2 weeks.
2 whole weeks, you know. And
it was really hard.
It was tough, you know, every day to leave him and then to come back and have that feeding tube, or sometimes we'd come back and he would be under the lights for jaundice, and you know, that was pretty tough, you know, because you're just worried about your first baby that you ever had, you know, and
it was really hard, like carrying him for 8 months, you know, and then like having to leave him every day. That was really hard on me.
Go home and sleep in your own bed. You know, it wasn't too hard for me. I don't know why.
Well, you were working, so you kind of had other things on your mind.
Yeah, but Rachel, it really took a toll on her. And when we finally brought him home, you know, it's just, he started gaining a lot of weight really rapidly, and he started.
He was good.
He was good, yeah. So that was our hospital experience, and
my heart goes out to all those women out there who have had babies in the N.I.C.U for longer than 2 weeks, because those 2 weeks went by so slow, and it was really hard. I couldn't imagine any longer.
Yeah, it really put in perspective, like people who have babies that, you know, who was it that had their baby was born really premature, and
my friend Ashley.
Yeah, and you know, our heart goes out to people like that who.
And you know, Dominic wasn't able to eat, and that was scary. But a lot of babies are born with way worse issues than that, and so.
And that was scary for us. So I couldn't imagine how hard it is for other families out there, and so our heart goes out to you guys. And anyways, we really appreciate your guys' support and watching our video. If you guys leave any comments down below, and thanks again. Bye.